Listen, if you only did what you felt like doing, you'd never grow. You'd stay exactly where you are, repeating comfort disguised as control. Success doesn't come from convenience. It comes from discipline when every cell in your body screams no. The truth is, your breakthrough hides behind the things you resist most, the workouts you skip, the calls you delay, the conversations you avoid, the sacrifices you postpone. You want a new life, then stop negotiating with your excuses. The person you dream of being stronger, wealthier, more confident, more fulfilled is born when you do what you don't want to do. Every time you push through resistance, you rewire your identity. Every act of discipline builds a new standard of power inside you. The difference between average and unstoppable isn't talent. It's the willingness to take action when everything inside you says, not today. So right now, decide not tomorrow, not later. Today, you're done waiting to feel ready. You're done letting comfort control your destiny. You will train your mind, your body, your emotions to obey your purpose, not your mood. Because success doesn't reward those who wait, it rewards those who act anyway. Comfort is the silent assassin of your potential. It's the invisible cage that feels safe, warm, and familiar, but it kills your hunger, your edge, your growth. Human beings are wired to avoid pain and chase pleasure, and that's exactly why most people never experience the life they're capable of living. The brain's job is survival, not success. It wants comfort, predictability, and control. But your soul wants expansion. It wants challenge. It wants to feel alive. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you choose to stay smaller than you were meant to be. The truth is, comfort seduces you with ease, but robs you of evolution. When things are easy, your mind softens, your ambition fades. You stop demanding more from yourself. For men, this comfort often disguises itself as routine, the same job, the same excuses, the same, oh, one day I'll do it story. For women, it often appears as the endless need to please, to stay safe, to avoid risk or rejection. But underneath all of it is the same pattern, a desire to avoid discomfort. And yet, every extraordinary human being you admire has one thing in common. They built the muscle of doing what they didn't want to do, especially when it was uncomfortable. Growth only exists outside your comfort zone because that's where uncertainty lives. And uncertainty is the birthplace of strength. When you lift a weight that feels too heavy, your muscle tears and rebuilds stronger. The same happens with your mind, your courage, your discipline. If you never face resistance, you never build resilience. Comfort tells you to rest, you should rise, to stay quiet when you should speak, to play safe when you should leap. And that voice, if you keep listening to it, will destroy every dream you've ever had before it even begins. There's a deep psychology behind why comfort feels so powerful. The human nervous system is designed to conserve energy, to protect you from what it perceives as danger. So when you face fear, rejection, or hard work, your body sends signals saying stop. But you must learn to reinterpret that signal. It's not danger, it's growth. That tension you feel isn't a warning, it's a threshold. It's your biology trying to keep you in the past while your potential is begging you to step into the future. When you choose to do what you don't want to do, to push when it's hard, to show up when you're tired, to stay disciplined when no one's watching, you take back control from comfort. You teach your mind that you're in charge, not your feelings. You start to respect yourself on a deeper level. That's where confidence comes from, not from words, but from evidence that you can trust yourself to follow through. The people who rise in life are not the ones who are the most talented, lucky, or gifted. They are the ones who refuse to let comfort seduce them into mediocrity. They understand that comfort feels good for a moment, but discipline feels good for a lifetime. They trade temporary ease for permanent evolution. Because in the end, the life you dream of isn't hiding in the comfortable path. It's waiting behind the one you've been avoiding. Discipline isn't about motivation. It's about mastery. It's the power to act when every emotion inside you says, not today. Most people wait for the right mood, the perfect timing, or the spark of inspiration before they move, but those moments almost never come. Success doesn't belong to those who feel ready. It belongs to those who move anyway. Discipline is the art of following through regardless of how you feel. It's the bridge between intention and result, between potential and power. When you decide to do what you don't want to do, that's when transformation begins. Every time you act against resistance, you rewire your brain to obey your vision instead of your emotions. Men often measure discipline by action, the grind, the hustle, the doing. Women often express discipline through consistency, the emotional resilience to stay the course even when the world demands otherwise. Both forms are equally powerful because they stem from the same root, the decision to keep going when it's inconvenient. Discipline is not masculine or feminine, it's human excellence in motion. Your feelings are not facts, they are signals. And if you build your life around how you feel, you'll live trapped in a loop of inconsistency. One day you'll feel unstoppable, and the next you'll feel empty. That's the nature of emotion. But discipline cuts through the chaos. It's the commitment to act from purpose, not mood. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep, making the call when fear whispers, wait. Showing up for yourself when no one else will. Each moment of discipline is a declaration of who you are becoming. The mind will always find a reason to stop. It will say, you deserve a break, or you've done enough. That's not logic, that's survival instinct, trying to keep you safe inside your comfort zone. But safety doesn't create satisfaction. You've got to train your brain to understand that discomfort isn't danger, it's progress. When you do the thing you least want to do, you build psychological armor. You teach yourself that your actions are not dictated by mood, fatigue, or fear. You start living from decision, not emotion. For men, discipline builds dominance over self, not over others, but over impulse, over distraction, over weakness. For women, discipline becomes liberation, freedom from overthinking, from hesitation, from the need to feel ready. Both are acts of power rooted in self-respect. When you choose discipline, you're not punishing yourself, you're preparing yourself. You're crafting a mind that bends to your will, not your feelings. True discipline isn't glamorous. It's quiet, repetitive, and often invisible. It's the 100 small moments no one sees. When you resist the urge to quit, when you do one more rep, When you write one more page, when you keep your word to yourself. Over time, those invisible choices create visible results. The body changes, the confidence grows, the identity shifts. Because every time you act without waiting to feel like it, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your emotions. And that's where unstoppable power begins. Pain is the ultimate teacher, not because it's comfortable, but because it's honest. It strips away the illusions, the excuses, the false stories we tell ourselves to feel safe. Pain is not your enemy, it's your invitation to rise. Every person who has built something extraordinary has walked through moments of deep struggle, moments where it would have been easier to quit, to hide, to numb the hurt. But pain, when embraced, becomes the most powerful force of transformation. It burns away weakness and reveals the strength that comfort could never give you. Human beings spend most of their lives avoiding pain, emotional, physical, or mental. Men are often taught to suppress it, to bury it behind strength and silence. Women are often conditioned to internalize it, to turn it into self-blame or emotional overload. But neither suppression nor avoidance creates growth. The secret is to face the pain, to look it in the eye and decide that will serve you, not stop you. Because pain is energy, and when you redirect that energy toward your purpose, it becomes power. The pain that once broke you becomes the fire that builds you. Every breakthrough you've ever had came after a moment of pain. The pain of failure, rejection, loss, or frustration, it's in those moments that you have a choice. You can use the pain as a reason to give up or as a reason to go all in. The people who rise in life don't have less pain, they have more purpose behind it. They learn to extract meaning from their suffering instead of letting it define them. Pain can either destroy your spirit or refine it, and that choice is made in how you interpret it. Pain reveals your thresholds. It shows you what you've been avoiding, where you've been holding back, what parts of yourself still need to be rebuilt. It's feedback, not punishment. When you start to view pain as a message, not an attack, everything changes. Physical pain tells you to strengthen. Emotional pain tells you to release or realign. Mental pain tells you to shift perspective. It's life's way of demanding that you grow. And when you accept that, pain stops feeling like suffering and starts feeling like a signal that you're leveling up. Men often experience pain as pressure. The pressure to perform, to provide, to never show weakness. But the truth is, vulnerability is not weakness, it's access to deeper strength. When you own your pain, instead of hiding it, you take away its control over you. Women often experience pain as emotional weight, the invisible load of expectations, relationships, and self-criticism. But when they channel that pain into purpose, it becomes unshakable grace, strength, and clarity. The moment you stop resisting your pain, it transforms into power that radiates through every area of your life. The mind and body adapt only under pressure. Just like muscles grow through resistance, your spirit expands through struggle. Without pain, there is no progress. Without friction, there is no fire. Pain carves depth in the human experience. It gives meaning to joy, context to gratitude, and purpose to perseverance. And when you stop running from it and start walking through it, you discover something incredible. The pain you once feared becomes the doorway to your next level of power. Emotion is not the starting point of change. Motion is. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act, but that's the reason they stay stuck. The truth is, emotion doesn't create movement. Movement creates emotion. Your physiology, your body language, your breath, they are the control panel of your emotional state. When you move differently, you feel differently. When you shift your posture, your pace, your tone, your focus, your brain follows. You can think your way out of a slump, but you can move your way out of one in seconds. The human brain is designed to match your body's signals. When your shoulders drop, your breathing slow, and your face falls, your brain interprets that as sadness or defeat. But when you stand tall, breathe deep, move fast, and take space, it releases chemicals of energy and confidence. That's why athletes, performers, and leaders use physical rituals before peak moments. They understand that emotion obeys motion. For men, movement often translates to physical action. Hitting the gym, taking decisive steps, creating momentum through doing. For women, it often translates to emotional, changing environment, dancing, or expressing energy through flow and connection. Both access the same power through different forms of movement. The problem is, most people live trapped in emotional paralysis. They wait to feel ready before they act, not realizing that readiness is a byproduct of movement. When you start, your feelings catch up. When you sit still, your fears grow louder. When you move, they lose power. Motion interrupts emotion. It cuts through anxiety, procrastination, and self-doubt faster than thought ever could. That's why action is the antidote to overthinking. You can't outthink fear, you can only outmove it. Every emotion you want to feel, confidence, passion, gratitude, determination, already exists inside you. It's not missing, it's dormant. And the key to awakening it isn't more thinking. It's changing your state through physical engagement. The body and mind are one system, not two separate parts. When you change one, you change the other. That's why exercise, deep breathing, and physical intensity don't just build muscle. They build momentum. The moment you get your body in motion, your brain releases chemicals that ignite clarity and confidence. You don't need motivation to move, you need to move to find motivation. Men and women both experience emotional blocks differently, but the solution is universal. Motion breaks the cycle. For men, physical stillness often breeds mental chaos. Movement gives direction to their aggression and clarity to their drive. For women, emotional stillness can manifest as overwhelm or disconnection. Movement restores flow, balance, and connection to intuition. Both are governed by the same principle. Energy in motion changes emotion. Every time you feel stuck, uncertain, or uninspired, remember that movement is the switch. You don't have to feel powerful to move powerfully. You move powerful to feel powerful. When you take control of your body, you take control of your mind, because emotion follows motion. Always, and when you move first, your feelings will align with the identity of the person you're becoming. Resistance isn't a wall, it's a signal. It's your internal GPS pointing you directly toward the areas of your life that demand expansion. The very thing you avoid, the task you delay, the fear you silence, that's the doorway to your next level. Most people misread resistance as a stop sign when in reality it's a guidepost. It's not saying, don't go there. It's saying, that's exactly where you need to go. Growth never hides behind comfort. It hides behind resistance. The greater the resistance, the greater the reward waiting on the other side. Your mind is built to protect you, not to push you. The human brain's primary instinct is safety, to conserve energy, to stay predictable, to avoid pain. So every time you attempt something new, your brain resists. It throws doubt, fear, and hesitation into your path. But that resistance is proof that you're entering a territory worth exploring. When you learn to reinterpret that signal, everything changes. For men, resistance often feels like internal pressure, the pull between what they know they should do and what feels comfortable. For women, resistance often shows up as hesitation, the quiet voice of self-doubt that says, what if I fail? Both experiences are signs that growth is trying to happen. Resistance is the force that builds strength, not just physical, but emotional, mental, and spiritual. Think about training in a gym. Without resistance, the muscle never grows. The burn, the fatigue, the tension, that's what triggers transformation. Life operates by the same law. The moments that challenge you, frustrate you, or scare you are the exact moments sculpting your capacity. If you only do what's easy, you'll stay exactly where you are. But when you face resistance head on, you reprogram your nervous system to associate struggle with strength, not suffering. The real secret is to stop fighting resistance and start listening to it. It's your body and mind telling you this is where your limits live. Every time you confront that edge, you expand it. The more you lean into resistance, the more adaptable you become. It's in the act of doing what feels unnatural that you build a new normal. That's how habits, confidence, and certainty are forged, not by avoiding the hard parts, but by walking straight into them. Resistance doesn't block the path, it is the path. For men, learning to embrace resistance rewires how they define strength. It's not about brute force, it's about persistence, emotional intelligence, and the ability to keep moving when it's uncomfortable. For women, embracing resistance means stepping beyond perfectionism, fear of judgment, or the pressure to get it right the first time. It's about trusting that every step through discomfort is carving resilience and self-belief. Both genders are being sculpted by the same force. The difference is how willing they are to see resistance as a guide rather than an obstacle. Every moment you feel resistance, it's a message this is where growth begins. That hesitation before you speak your truth, that fear before you make the move, that fatigue before you finish the task, those are not signs of weakness, they're signs of proximity to transformation. Resistance will always appear where purpose is closest. And if you learn to follow it, not flee from it, you'll find that every barrier you once feared becomes a stepping stone to your own evolution. Everything that feels impossible today will one day feel natural, but only if you do it long enough. The difference between the people who rise and the people who stay stuck is repetition. Most quit because the beginning is uncomfortable. It's awkward, slow, and uncertain. But mastery is built through the willingness to stay in that discomfort until it becomes effortless. The hardest things in life become easy not because they change, but because you do. Every repetition rewires your nervous system, strengthens your mindset, and trains your emotions to follow your commitment instead of your excuses. The truth is, your brain resists what's new because it's trying to protect you. It labels unfamiliar effort as danger. That's why the first time you wake up early, push through a workout, or speak your truth, it feels heavy. But that heaviness is not punishment, it's preparation. For men, doing hard things consistently builds internal control, the discipline to lead, provide, and stay grounded under pressure. For women, doing hard things develops emotional strength, the power to trust themselves, to act without overthinking, and to create momentum from within. Both are forging resilience through repetition. At first, doing the hard thing feels like climbing a mountain barefoot. Every step burns. But with time, your feet toughen, your lungs strengthen, and what once seemed impossible becomes your baseline. Growth is not a single leap, it's an accumulation of micro-victories over resistance. Each time you choose action over avoidance, you raise your threshold for discomfort. What used to drain you begins to empower you. That's the process of transformation, training your nervous system to equate effort with expansion, not exhaustion. The secret is to stay in the process long enough for the hard to become familiar. Most people give up right before the breakthrough, mistaking friction for failure, but friction is the sign of progress. The moment you embrace the repetition of doing hard things, the mind stops fighting and starts adapting. Your body adjusts, your confidence grows, and suddenly what once took every ounce of strength becomes second nature. Men and women both experience this shift differently but powerfully. Men transform struggle into momentum. They turn discipline into dominance over self. Women turn struggle into flow. They find strength and consistency and grace in the grind. Both are learning the same universal law. That ease is earned through endurance. Everything you want, confidence, success, peace, strength, sits on the other side of repetition. You don't get stronger by avoiding difficulty. You get stronger by staying with it until it bends. Do the hard things until they stop feeling hard, because the moment they do, you'll realize you become the kind of person who doesn't fear challenges anymore. You feed on them.